You are bigger and better than your situation. Stop settling for nothing. You are way bigger than that. Don't let anybody's disappointments fall on you. There's small thinking. There's small minds. Don't let that fall on you. JT Cotton Motivation.
What's going on? This is JT Cotton here. I'm here with Michelle Cameron. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Listen, for those that don't know you, tell everyone just a little bit about yourself.
I started in the church many years ago. Little girl, I sang in children's choir. I've done a lot of things in church, Sunday school teacher, different things throughout the years. I am now leading a singles movement. I call it a movement. We're trying to bring awareness to singles on things that we need to do, because I'm a single person as well, to get ourselves prepared for life, not necessarily only for marriage, but also for life, so that we are living at our optimal. We're living at our top level, whatever it is that God has called us to do and to be, that we're doing the best that we possibly can, and we're functioning at that level.
First thing that popped up in my mind when you were saying that was preparation.
Yes.
Who nowadays is really preparing for not only marriage, but just certain things within themselves?
Well, that's a good question, because the thing that caught my eye about this whole movement is that over the years, I've started meeting people who kind of were stuck, like in life. They seemed like they didn't know what to do next. Okay, so they went to high school and they went to college and they graduated and they found a job, and then what? So it was kind of like that. And I realized that a lot of people probably either didn't have family to guide them to the next step, or just weren't connected to the right people, or never even thought of some of these things that came to me that I think people needed to know and understand. So I started writing books about things like this. And I think the book that I wrote, it kind of like mushroomed into more things. And then started the New Jersey Singles Empowerment. And it was meant to stimulate minds, heart, and have people realize that, oh, I'm not alone in this journey, and that there are other things that I could be doing with my time than to just sit there and bemoan the fact that I'm not married, and realize that there's a lot of more enriching things we can be doing, ways that we can pour back into others, empower others, and things like that.
See, this is a thing. This is what I get from it. Now, all of us, we come across all different types of people from all different walks of life. Mm-hmm. Single family homes with the mother and the father, some with drugs and different things. Some may not know, or may even been shown certain things. But what I'm seeing nowadays, correct me if I'm wrong, but where is the energy to even want to be better?
I think part of it also has to do with that I can get to a certain level without a lot of work. I've noticed that, this get rich quick thing, mindset for some, or it's a matter that you've seen people around you getting ahead in life and you don't know how they're doing it, and you get discouraged when you do that comparison thing. You look at your own life and you look at theirs, and you're like, man, they have something I want, but I don't know how to get what they have. And then you just kind of just tune out of life and just say, oh, you know what, this is it for me, and I'm not going to get anywhere. without trying, without inquiring, without learning, without reading. Yeah, some people are allergic to books. Reading, researching, trying to see what else I need to do to get to from where I am to where I want to get to. And that's another thing I noticed.
What do you feel like is the main thing that has gotten you to spark this singles movement?
I have a passion to help people, and I felt like there were certain outlets that I was allowed to do it, but I was limited in how much I could do. Kind of like there was a cap on it, like a limit on how much I could do. So I felt that having something like this empowerment movement would help to bring in and attract people who may not go to the same church as me, or who may have never even heard of me, to come together in one spot and get information and be encouraged, be inspired, and grow together as a group, whether we meet once a year, twice a year, however things go, and get from where we were to where we want to go. So I say were because once you get started on this journey, then it's a matter of just building and climbing from where you were to where you're heading. So, yeah. Some
of the biggest challenges I find, I'm single myself, and I have children. I have 4 children. I have my oldest daughter. I took her in when she was 4 months old, and the biggest challenge that I find out, like I said, being single myself, is really sometimes you have to really be disciplined. Disciplined in knowing who you are. Disciplined in not having to always have company just to have company, and the person's not right for you, but you still want to hang out with them anyway. Being disciplined in building your career, being disciplined in fixing certain things within your life to make sure you have that stability and being reliable, being able to move forward as a young man or as a young woman.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. The discipline part of it is really what helps us grow in every area, where if I wasn't always praying and seeking God and making that time every day to connect with God, whether praying or reading the Bible or whatever, then I couldn't have grown to the point where they looked at me and said, we want to make you one of our leaders in our church. And that's something I did not expect. That was something that took me totally by surprise. And God worked with that and all of what I've learned and what I've understood over the years and got to where I am today. And I don't think I've arrived. I believe I've basically just started. And I know that things will increase and grow as I grow. But it's, as you said, it's discipline. So it's discipline in that area. It's discipline in finances. I'm also a single parent. And my son, well, in like 4 years, will be going off to college. And I think about that, like, okay, what can I do today that will make that transition easier 4 years from now? So then I have to be disciplined in my spending now, right? Because college is not cheap. So things like that, and as a single person, many times we say, oh, I'm not with somebody right now, so it kind of doesn't matter what I do. But I don't think people realize that what you do today is like a foundation that you're building, that you're going to have to build a house on top of later, in a figurative sense, of course. And if your foundation is weak, if your foundation isn't steady and straight and firm, then whatever type of house you're trying to build on top of that is not going to stand up over time. So the discipline definitely has to be there. And I even want to take it another direction. As singles, many singles, as you mentioned, sometimes we want to keep company with people who are not good for us, and that's true. And I think a lot of times spending all this time running around chasing after different people or finding ourselves in different situations that are not beneficial for us in the long run then burns us out. And when it's time for us to actually try to go into something that's real and long-lasting, we don't know how to even handle that because we didn't practice discipline before that.
Yeah,
so, so we get together with somebody that we really want to be with, and then we don't have the discipline to keep it together.
So how do you feel about singles nowadays? I know we had a conversation maybe a little over a month or two about men and women today.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I hear it from a lot of women. They feel like the man just doesn't have their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, there's a lot of men that feel like women are getting opportunities, or there's so much focus and emphasis on them that it's taken away from them as well. So, I don't know if it's perception or just the individuals themselves, but what do you think about it?
There are people out there, men and women, who are conscious of the differences and are working towards balancing them out. So you have the independent woman who has everything. Only thing she doesn't have is a man. There are women like that who don't see themselves that way. They may seem that way to other people because that's the perception, or that's the way sometimes people project themselves. But I think if some men were to actually come closer to those women and get to see their lives and kind of talk to them and get to know them, they'll find that this woman desires companionship just like another woman who may not have everything yet in place. And it's not that she doesn't need a man, she needs him, but in a different way. Like she doesn't have to rely on his salary, but she wants to have companionship. She wants somebody that can be there for her in the midst of things that might be happening in her life, whether good or bad. Because I'm going to say this, it really hurts to celebrate something and have nobody to celebrate it with. It's really tough to do that. So even in the high times, the good times, and the low times, the bad times, you maybe lost a loved one or something, you just want to know that there's somebody there who understands you and wants to walk with you through that. So I feel like the men who feel that everything is focused on just the women and not them, they're not listening to the right voices either. Because there are a lot of people out there, especially men. I'm finding, and I'm not even a guy, I'm coming across more and more men who are speaking into the lives of men, and are challenging men, and are encouraging men. I could even drop names now. There's Tony Gaskins out there, always talking to men. There's E.T. Thomas, or E.T., I think his name is Eric Thomas. He's always challenging men. And then you have people like Jerry Flowers from Redefined TV. He always talks to men. Those are just three men that I give as examples. They're all married, which is fine, but they all have that passion to see men become more than what they are today. And I think if men really want to look deeper, they can find those voices that are speaking to their hearts and their lives. Miles Monroe. Rest in peace. So people like that, can help men to become who they need to be.
Now, how important is it for men and women to become whole before they actually settle down?
I think it's extremely important, because if you are struggling with a lot of insecurity, or you have been seriously hurt in the past in a previous relationship, or even in childhood, those things have to be worked out and talked through. Because if you don't, and you get together with somebody, any little thing that looks like what you went through before is going to trigger, oh, this person is just like X, or this person is just like Y. And then your response might even be exaggerated because of your past and what you've dealt with before. So healing is important. I strongly recommend counseling. And I know a lot of men especially tend to run the other way when you say counseling. But counseling is basically just talking out what's in your heart to somebody that you can trust, that can help you shape and guide and direct into where you need to go. So it's like it's a positive way of dealing with things that have hurt you.
And you said the key word, trust.
Right.
Men have to trust. We're not going to just run to anybody and just talk about anything, you know.
Right.
And I don't advise anybody to do that, you know. Seek wise counsel, because you don't know who you're talking to.
Right. Well, I mean, in what's in my mind is more like a counselor, like a legit counselor, like somebody who went to school for it and you're paying them a fee to do that. They're under law and under oath to not release any information that you share with them. So I feel that because men tend to not trust easily, I would recommend you go see a professional versus go hanging with some guy, you know, one of your friends that could then tell 3 or 4 other people what you just told them. So that's the other thing. And I know sometimes too, men confide in women because they feel that a woman might understand them a little bit better than another guy might. Sometimes that's good and sometimes not so good because of, you know, different things women can do. I know about. But I would highly recommend going to see a professional, because then that can help you also build trust. You will feel more at ease talking to somebody who you know cannot talk to somebody else about what you said to them. And then it will give you a chance to get a lot of things off your chest, off your mind, off your heart. You feel lighter. You'll feel ready to trust again, meaning like the general population now. And then you probably have more discernment now, so you don't pick the wrong people to confide in about your life, because then you just have a repeat of what you had in the past.
Now I want to flip it for a second from a woman's perspective. Take us men into the mind of a woman. Now this is the thing, because we communicate different.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Men, when they communicate, is one way. Women, they communicate another way. Mm-hmm. So for us to understand a woman more, how they look at things, how they view things, take us into the mind of a single woman.
Wow. Okay, so single women tend to look at men as potential spouses, and I'm just going to keep it real. That is the truth. Many times we are told that we're not to do that, and I understand the premise for that, because you don't want to get hurt by doing that or thinking that way. But naturally, our thought process is, how does this person fit into my world, quote unquote? And you start assessing them in that kind of way. I mean, there are other women too. There's a segment of women who really just see men as just a friend. You know, okay, just somebody I met, and oh, he's cool. Oh, yeah.
And I was getting ready to say that. Is it before you even meet the guy, or once you have already spoken to him, or once he gets into your line of sight?
I think it depends for different women. I don't think every woman in that case is uniform on that. As I said, there are a segment of women who, until a man makes a proposal of some kind, like, I'd like to get to know you in this way, she will just see him as just a friend. And then there are other women who they will see a man and they're like, okay, he could be my husband. And some people will do this even without a conversation happening. So that's a little scary, I think, for men when they find out that something like that does happen. But it does happen for some. And I think part of the reason why women may look at life that way, it's that whole thing of wanting to connect with somebody that you feel would cover you. I believe in covering. That's one thing for me. And because I'm so passionate about covering, I'm careful about my relationships with men on purpose. Like, I'm very intentional about friendships with men. Doesn't mean I don't have any friends who are men. I do have friends who are men, but I am very intentional about who gets to know Michelle really up close and personal. My father is still in my life. He is alive and well, so I consider him to be my covering at this stage of my life. And yes, I'm a grown woman, but I still believe in that very strongly. So I am accountable to him. I don't have to be. I'm a mother. I am a homeowner. I have my own. I hold my own. But because I respect the level that he is above me, I still inform him of what's happening in my personal life. If I'm dating, I want him to know, and all of these types of things. So he knows those things about my life because of the role that I know that he holds in my life. And then for friends, I see my friends as people who would cover me in some kind of way as well. So you don't have to be my guy, the guy that I'm dating, but I feel that if you cherish our friendship and you believe that, okay, she's a good woman, I really like being with her or talking to her or whatever, that you will not take advantage of me. And so those are things that I think of. And so I'm talking for myself in this case because I can't speak for other women, how they view things, but that's how I look at it. Let me see if there's anything else I could share, give insight to men. But there's also that part of a woman that may compare the guys that she looks at and is around to her father, especially if she knows her father. If she doesn't have a father in her life, sometimes that affects negatively how she responds to other men. So that's another thing that men need to be aware of as well. So her relationships with men in her life, brothers, uncles, father figures, that affects how she handles men, how she approaches men, how the level of importance men might be in her life too. There are some women that they've only seen women around, like especially the strong big mama in their family.
That's right.
Maybe then if that's how they were raised, they may not see men as being that much important to their lives, except for probably giving them children, that kind of thing. So that's my perspective on this.
And that is very important. That's very important because I have 3 young girls. My oldest is 12, my other daughter is 10, and my youngest is 6. So I was just having a conversation about that maybe a day or 2 ago. And I hold the doors for my girls, and I let them get in the car, hold the car doors, the regular doors. I make sure I communicate to them respectfully. They don't really get spankings anymore. They're at an age now where they're very advanced. So I make sure I don't even call them baby or nothing like that, no more like that, because if I'm calling my girls baby and sweetie and stuff like that, and as they get older, and even now, it's starting a little bit earlier now in these schools with these kids, but say another young man calls them baby, calls them sweetie, that's tender in their ears because daddy called them the same thing. Right. So I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious on, what I say. I don't even want to say cautious. I do things a certain way now because I know how important it is to my girls. How it's going to affect them. I notice how confident and strong they are when I'm with them. How secure they are. So a father and a man is the foundation. So a man, even if it's a single family home and it's just the mother, it's very important for the mother to find a male role model
Right.
for their children, especially their
Right.
sons. Don't take it upon yourself to say, I can do it.
Right.
You're not a man. I'm not a woman. So there's only but so far you can go.
Right.
So we have to provide these tools for our children. And we can't be ignorant about that. And
Right.
because the children we see now are suffering. But to get back to the singles now, you have an event coming up.
Yes, I do.
November 10th. Tell us about it.
All right. So this is basically part 2. We had our first event last year in November, and it was in Hillside, New Jersey. We had a wonderful time. We brought in last year 3 married couples who shared, and the topic was relationships versus situationships. And this year we're continuing it, so it's relationships versus situationships. The conversation continues, and we're bringing in this year 2 married couples and 2 singles. A single guy, a single lady, and they all have their own platforms that they speak to different people, and they all are people of influence. Are the people, I can tell you their names. We have Redefined TV, that's Jerry Flowers and his wife Tanisha Flowers from Houston, Texas. We will have the Smiths, that's Debbie and Edward Smith from the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And then we have Joel Parrish here from New Jersey and Christy Adams also from New Jersey. And they will be sharing to us their different perspectives on that topic. We also, it's going to be more like a panel discussion where they answer pre-submitted questions as well as take questions from the audience. And last year, we had to kick people out of the venue. We were there until midnight. Like, people would not leave. So I'm excited. Last year, too, we had people come drive all the way from West Virginia, all the way from Maryland, and people came from upstate New York. People came from everywhere. So I believe that we're on to something. And when I say it that way, it's not because of I'm trying to say that this is some kind of marketing ploy or anything. No, I really have a passion for this. I really firmly believe in this. I believe that this is something that singles want and need. They need somebody to hear them and somebody to connect with them and somebody who understands their journey and is compassionate towards them. No, even if they're married already, they still want to reach back and pull them up and help them to get to where they need to get to, provide the necessary tools. These people are very practical people as well. They're not going to just quote scriptures and leave you hanging. They're actually going to tell you exactly step 1, step 2, step 3, this is what you need to do, that type of thing. Looking forward to seeing people there from wherever you want to come from. We're going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn, Edison, and that's Raritan Center in New Jersey. And we're on Eventbrite. You can get tickets on Eventbrite for the event. And we're starting at 6:30. So Friday, November 10th.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Again, I have Michelle Cameron here. The event that she was just speaking about is called Relationships versus Situationships. The conversation continues. Friday, November 10th, 2017. It starts at 6:30. It's going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn in Edison, New Jersey. That's right on Raritan Center Parkway. All right, so it's been a pleasure. You have any social media or a website, any information you would like to shoot out there?
Okay, so my personal website, it's Michelle G. Cameron. G is my middle initial, and MichelleGCameron.com. And also for social media, I'm on Facebook, Michelle Cameron. I'm on Twitter, MG Cameron LLC. I'm on Instagram, Michelle G. Cameron LLC. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So you can look for me everywhere and connect with me. I'd love to talk to you and meet you soon.
And the website for the NJ singles.
Okay, so for the event itself, the singles website, it's empowerednjsingles.com. So that's empowerednjsingles.com. You go on there and you'll see the flyer and everything, the link to register, all of that.
Cool, cool. Again, my name is JT Cotton. I'm here with Michelle Cameron. And you all have a blessed day. And we'll see you all soon.
Don't give up. You can do it. It starts with the mindset. Set the mind. And move one brick at a time. This is JT Cotton Motivation.